Trained by day, Kyle Wigginton podcast by night, all day.
But there's so many ways to do drugs these days. Just save me a goddamn room.
So that's going to be my
Fox Robinson, everyone.
It's going to be my single.
Dude, that's so good.
Did you like it?
That actually sounds really fucking good, too.
So, thank you.
Where did you record at?
So, I recorded at Light Drizzle Studios. I'll send like the hashtags, but with Chris, bassist from Mars and Other Planets. He did the engineering for it.
Dude, I really like those guys. I saw him at Zony Mash that night.
You've seen them?
Yeah, I was there. I saw you that night,
That's
too.
right. Yeah. That was for their music video. So,
Zony, they were doing a music video?
oh, they did their music video premiere there, I think.
Oh, yeah. They were really fucking good, though. I really like those guys. I need to get them on here one day.
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have the connection for that?
Absolutely.
Dude, hook it up, man. Do you know those guys personally?
I was there at their house yesterday.
Oh, wow. So you really know those guys personally?
Yeah. So Marissa and Chris and Jade.
Get this a little closer.
Yeah. And
you can pull it too if you need to.
yeah, so he had a studio on the West Bank,
Mhm.
and they're building their home studio on the North Shore now. And I'm like recorded half. So I did the drums for that song too.
Mhm.
And so he's really good at recording drums and everything. And like, that was super important for the album.
Yeah, well, dude, that's a whole talent, man. That's what I was telling you when you came in here. Like, I've tried to record several of the musicians that come in here and perform, and I just can't do them justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I did Payson one time, and me and him worked on it a lot, but just wasn't. I'm just not there.
Yeah. So I know how to record myself, and like, I really, really hate doing it. And a lot of people I know do their own home recordings, which is like, I think is really, really good for like getting better. But working with Chris and like the way that I cut the album in like stages, basically, where like it was all very structured around, okay, I'm going to come in and play the album through on acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And then like of that take, it was like, I did like a short, like 20-minute, but like I got really emotional in the studio because there was somebody else there. And like, I needed somebody else there on some of these tracks when I cut them for the first time for playback, because it was just too sad to do alone.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it was almost like he was like, and like some of the songs I just like never even played in front of people, because it's very much like, you know, super personal, like letters to people and stuff like that. So, and you know, I liked doing it that way, and the way that we cut it that way, which is me going in acoustic guitar and then a layered drums, and then a layered drums the next day, and then drum tracks to everything. Liked the way that we did that, because at the very core of the album, like, is just me sitting and playing acoustic guitar and talking about my feelings.
What's different doing it by yourself than doing it with someone else?
So,
you see, you don't like doing it by yourself, right?
Right. Up to probably exactly where the point that I'm at, which is like, it's time for other singers and like other players and stuff, because I played drums and guitar, and like, I wanted to say it's funny, like, just with this mic that we've been doing, I've gone through so many acoustic guitars, because I play with this thumb pick, and this is a new thing, but basically the way that I strum, like, it's like I'm playing drums on an acoustic guitar, just because of like the 1E and a 2E and a 3. And I found myself doing like drum fills in parts on acoustic, and like was playing way, way, way too hard, and realized it's like, okay, well, I need to cut drums to some of my songs and learn to play lightly on, you know, in some instances. So like, it was easier, I think, in that instance, because the pushes that I write on acoustic guitar are really like drum pushes.
Dude, you are talking so far out of my realm right now.
I'm in a recording brain right now.
Yeah, like, I don't know what a push is.
Yeah.
I barely know what this is.
Yeah.
And like, most people have one they hold in their fingers, right?
Right. So this is like the forever timekeeper. If it were drums, this would be like my hi-hat.
Okay.
Right? This is my rhythm keeper.
Okay.
When I play acoustic guitar, it's always like down here keeping time, and like when you have the thumb pick, you can always like keep it tapping.
So did you start off as a drummer?
Yes.
Okay, so you started off as a drummer. How difficult was it to move from that to other instruments?
Really, I think for once I learned standard cowboy chords on guitar, it's like
once again out of my realm.
It's GDC, like
Okay.
easy chords to play. You can actually have this in my lap.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
It's like my security.
Yeah, go for it.
So this amount of wear I put on this guitar, like learning how to like play again during my period of recovery.
So that's like where the pick's hitting on the way down?
This is 1 year.
Jesus
I've only had this thing
Christ,
1
dude.
year. Yeah. I've so anyway, so kind of like what I'm talking about.
So those are the GDC chords.
But see the way I'm picking, it's a little bit like a banjo.
Is that not what that is? Is that a banjo?
It's a guitar.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a guitar you can sleep with.
What's the difference?
So banjos are like stretched over like a drum head and have a fewer amount of strings.
Okay.
And I don't know how to play one, so I can't tell you that much.
Seriously, you can play a guitar that good, but you can't play a banjo?
No, I don't think so. Can I put this over?
You probably just haven't tried it yet.
Yeah.
I'll say, Colin.
Actually, I haven't tried it yet.
Have you met Colin Provençal?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's one of the ones that used to host our open mic. Which, by the way, Fox is one of the hosts of our open mics.
Yes.
And he does an amazing job.
Thank you.
But Colin used to be one of our hosts, and that guy can play any instrument you put in his hands, and it's unfathomable to me. And he can even sit with someone else who's playing a song he's never heard and somehow fit in with that song.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
It's weird. So I've been playing so much, and I think I've kind of figured out how human beings can do that. Is that like you figure out the math of it all, of that it's like it's really, it's like find the key and then find the differentials in the chord patterns, and you can just kind of figure everything out by ear. Once you get to a certain point,
Right, because there's like a certain pattern that they go by when they're doing music, right? Like 4-3-2.
Nashville numbering system.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like you start on the 1 and then 3, and like that's how they communicate. And then you just need that plus a key signature,
And you just hop in.
and you can hop in.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know it.
It's got to be the same thing as like a conversation, though, right?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, in just a different language, really. Because I mean, it's almost like I can walk into any room now because I've had so many conversations.
mm-hmm.
I can walk into any room and have a conversation with pretty much anybody just because I know how to fit into their rhythm.
Right. Exactly. And this is the way, I'm glad that you brought that up, because this is my approach when I'm hosting the open mic too.
Mhm.
It's a game to me, because it's like reading the room, and like in between when I'm doing filler stuff and being like, what demographic of people,
Mhm.
what would play well, what was Towner playing on the radio before, like all that stuff. It's like the similarities of like a musician jumping into a conversation.
Yeah.
It's like we can't do awkward. I've done some really awkward transitions here though. Like I've played like a Disney song at a really weird time.
I feel like that's to be expected at open mic too, though. Because I mean, I feel like open mics are for working out new material.
Yes.
Yeah. Even the comedians on open mic Tuesday.
Right.
Like, I mean, sometimes they'll walk the entire room because they're just working out new material.
Right. So to that end, and I'm glad you brought up comedy too. Number one, I want to do that drug song that I just sent you at that open mic and film it, because I think it would be funny. It's a kind of it's a crossover style thing, because it is a comedy.
Well, and a
song.
lot of those guys are actually recovering addicts. So, I mean, they would love that. They would eat that shit up.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm releasing that as a single soon. And then, but I like that. And it's funny because that's the last song that I wrote, real new one that's on the album, but I had to be it's the first one that I wrote off when I was not on Adderall anymore,
Mm-hmm.
which I had to learn how to be. My body like rejected that medicine after a while. I was like having heart problems.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
My blood pressure was so high.
See, my blood pressure's always been high.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not. I don't know I think it's the pre-workout that I take,
Yeah.
because I have to take pre-workout every time I go to the gym. But if I don't, because I also take Adderall. Not a lot of people know that. But if I don't take pre-workout, I won't go to the gym. And on days that I take pre-workout and go to the gym, it's like I get that endorphin rush, so I don't need the Adderall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's why I look like this.
Yeah.
Because I don't like taking the Adderall unless I have to sit down in front of a computer and edit for like 8 hours, you know?
That's right. So I lost the ability to do that in large stints when I stopped taking that medication, which is one of the reasons that the album is called Death of Rectangle Man. Is like, I can't sit still that long. And the internet has become like the way that we use, because, you know, that's what I do for a day job is I'm a software designer.
Mm-hmm. So how do you end up doing that and not being able to sit still in front of a computer? That's
the thing, is that I've struggled.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the reasons that the album's called Death of Rectangle Man, is like I have to completely kind of,
you have to get in the box.
Yeah, but it's also going back to the Rectangle Man thing. Like that's multi-layered, but because like one of the things that I have in my office too is like, and this was part of the album journey as it were, but like I put a gigantic whiteboard up to free write as I was doing that shadow work that I was talking about. And just like, you know, as I was sitting with my feelings, and like my goal was to like fill it up with lyrics. And when it was filled up, it would be ready to turn into the album or whatever. But it's like I kept writing after I'd filled it up, and it like spilled over into, you know, like windows and stuff, and I started to look like an insane person. And I realized like the Death of Rectangle Man as a title too, and as a concept, it's like my proclivity to put my feelings inside of a container that has these boundaries in it, while, you know, like a big whiteboard and stuff like that. Like there's a you know, there's a little bit of symbolism, you know, behind that. And that, so what I'm going to do is I still have the whiteboard up, and it's still, even though I'm getting close to finishing it, what I want to do for my CD release party, or whenever I get the band together to perform it and to release it, I want to melt it and put alcohol or whatever that would make all the dry erase run down.
So you should definitely get someone to take pictures of that, because I think that would be a dope album cover.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. And then I'd like maybe project some images and stuff, because I've liked all the stuff I've seen in town with people like doing like projector and images and stuff. I think there's a lot we can do for cheap to kind of like up our state.
Oh, absolutely. Have you heard of the band Cassiette?
Yes.
Yeah, I love Cassiette. Just released her first album in 2024 and it's blowing the fuck up. But one of her albums that she released, they basically just took her, put her on a roof and covered her up in like this satin sheet, or this silk sheet, and it looks so fucking dope.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like her outline, her silhouette. In the sheet.
That's super
cool. They got it from the top down. It looks awesome. So I mean, you can do some dope stuff now with very little.
Yeah.
But I think what you're touching on is something really awesome: the Death of the Rectangle Man, and kind of saying where you're at in work, because like this is. I think it's something that we all struggle with these days, is sitting in front of the computer for a long time. Well, especially creatives. So I know that even for me, like my degree's in IT, and I actually worked in IT for 3 years right when I got out of school.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, but it was like driving me crazy, dude. I was like, I have this creative bone, but I've been told my whole life, go get money, you know, go get a nice job, you know, support your community, whatever you're gonna do. But then one day I just finally woke up and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I left. I quit my job and I moved to a new city and just kind of started working in restaurants again, and slowly found my way down to New Orleans, where I do this right here, which is a very creative job, you know, running this place right here and doing what I do on a daily basis. But I mean, I think that corporate America and just the way the world is these days isn't set up for creatives. Like it's set up for probably 95% of the way humans work, but there's like 5% that are going to drive themselves crazy trying to fit into that box.
Yeah, exactly. Or have to take drugs to do it.
Or that,
yeah. You know?
So how good are you at your job whenever you're actually on the drugs? You're probably great, right?
It has nothing to do. I mean, I'm exactly the same amount of good. It has to do with the way I feel about it.
See, I'm very different.
Really?
Yeah, because like whenever I'm trying to create, whenever I'm not on it, it's like, I can't do anything. I'm just
Yeah.
like all over the place, man.
I know.
So, but whenever I take it, I'm zoned in, man. I can make the dopest shit ever.
Yeah. It's totally like, yeah, it scratches that itch of, well, yeah, I'm circling back to like, I get when you're jazzed about what you're doing, you do it for longer. And like there are songs that like I've been in the middle of writing, you know, where I'm like, this sucks and I hate it, but this is part of the process. And I think, you know, Adderall makes that easier to like push through that, I think. But I was really scared that I wasn't going to be able to write again or do anything creative after I got off that medicine. But really what I can't do is just very specifically, and I can, which is, I hope, you know, I did, you know, just good. I'm still doing a job like in tech.
Yeah, I could.
Like I gotta pay the bills and everything like that. But it's the landscape of tech has changed a tremendous amount since OpenAI has come out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, dude, I use it for all kind of stuff now.
Yeah.
AI is the dopest shit ever.
I'm using it right now. I'm really just sitting at my house right now.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't you.
You're looking at the hologram.
Yeah.
Baby.
This is actually, I'm just talking to a chair right now.
I know.
Yeah, we put this in with AI.
Have you watched the new Black Mirrors at all?
I haven't. Someone was actually talking about it this weekend at the bar, and they were telling me I need to watch it because I was talking about something, and they were like, "Oh my god, dude! Like you're talking about one of the episodes. Like, have you seen it yet?" And I was like, "Not at all."
I can't. I have to watch that show in like 5 minutes at a time because I go into mania because I'm in tech and it's like, oh my God, I know where this is going immediately, but they're hitting the right messages this season.
Well, so like, what's one of the big takeaways without giving too much away about the show?
So with the pilot is that they're attacking some of the darker models of monetization that's happening in tech, which has to do with the subscription model,
right,
and slowly making the services that they offer at a baseline crappier, while making the subscription tiers more and more expensive.
Oh yeah.
They're just slowly, with the frog and the boiling of the water.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't jump out. They're just slowly boiling us alive. And like,
dude, they get me all the time. Like there's one that I downloaded the other day, and it's an app on the phone, and I paid the initial subscription, and they hit me with it's $5 a month, or it's $30 for a year. And of course I was like, you know what? $30 for a year is not that bad if this is dope.
Right.
So I paid $30 for a year. And then, because one of the key features of it was that it would take my voice and it would allow me to take any YouTube song that I found, and it would make a cover song with my voice. Oh my God. And I was like, that's awesome. I need to try this out.
Yeah.
So then I get into the app, $30 later, get into the app, and I read their paragraph, because it's like 5 minutes of dialogue you have to read so they can actually get your voice. And then you press create voice or whatever, and then it goes, okay, this will take $5 to create your voice. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
So then they hit me for $5 more, and I wasn't okay with the first voice that I made. Then I had to do it again, and it cost me $5 more. I'm like, there should be a way to like go back and redo it. So I mean, they got this subscription model down where they'll just milk you for every fucking thing you're worth if you let them.
They will. And then also, like, if you cancel now, like the point of entry keeps getting crappier if you cancel. So for instance, like the baseline Disney, if I remember correctly, didn't have ads back in the day, but if you cancel and now get it at 9, it does have ads.
Yeah, stupid.
And it's like they're gaslighting you. It's like, anyway, so yeah, that's the new season. If it continues on that, I'm all for it. Cause like when I took a step back and like took off work for a while and like, you know, stopped thinking, there's like, you know, the tech industry is destroying society right now. And like, I'm a part of that. And like now, you know, when I had a lot of the impetus of the writing of the album and stuff, like when I took take a step back from like, the tech industry and see how that they're making money. It's the practices are pretty bad now. Like storage, like iCloud, all that stuff. Like it's bad. Yeah.
The way I look at it though is if something's bad for you, then it can also be good for you. It's that duality, right?
Yes.
But I just think that the right people need to come along and go, okay, like if They need to create a new model that's free and open source that everyone can have it, and then it'll fuck those other companies up.
Yes.
The problem is those other companies are buying everyone out.
Right.
So you need to have someone that comes in and won't sell out, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think
I will do this within. I'll at least try to fight for the forces of good.
Well, so that's whenever the NFTs came out, most people think NFTs are a scam, but they're not, man. Like if you actually use NFTs for the way that you can, okay, I'll say one of the systems that I was thinking about designing whenever it first came out was for musicians. Okay. So right now, most of the musicians are actually owned by the music studios, right? Okay, the distribution studios.
Right.
But if you actually take a musician, and the reason they're owned by them is because they have a built-in marketing team, they have a built-in distribution team. But if you take an artist like yourself who's about to release an album, and they say, okay, I'm going to release 20 NFTs that have the streaming rights, half the streaming rights of my music attached to them. So any wallet that the NFT is setting in will get the streaming rights, the money pushed to their wallet every month or whenever the streaming rights come up.
Right.
And you get half your proceeds, and then you actually give those out to your biggest fans, or you give them out to people with large followings online. Okay, so then now you have your own built-in marketing team.
This is the way that it should be done.
Absolutely.
It's just it is completely deconstructing of there. I mean, it makes a lot of people not rich. It makes the artists rich because they're in control of the means of production and distribution.
Yeah,
and that's like
Yeah. So then if you actually do that, then you have your own marketing team, which are your fans from day one, and they're actually getting paid off of it too.
Exactly.
So the more people they bring to you, the more money they get.
Yep.
And then they can turn around and resell the NFTs. And each time they resell the NFTs, you get a piece of the pie.
That's right. I hope it doesn't. It's not a pyramid scheme, is it?
I mean, it's not a pyramid scheme because everyone's getting paid.
That's right. And everyone's doing something meaningful.
The pyramid scheme was the way NFTs were used initially whenever they were all being used as a tax write-off. That was the pyramid scheme. But if you actually use them for a good function, which you can do with this, you can even do it in other ways, like Zony Mash. I don't know if you heard Zony Mash is actually going out.
They're closing.
Yeah, they're closing.
I know. It's sad.
But one of the ways they could have used NFTs to drive business to them is they come out with these dope cans, right? Okay, so if they made an NFT or 10 NFTs for each can that they produce, and then they give those to the people that do the tours, the brewery tours, and then you can actually rent the NFTs from them and get discounts when you go to Zony Mash when you're in town.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, the problem is that humans aren't adopting the technology fast enough, and they're not doing it because they think it's a scam now, because everyone's been told it's a scam. It's a scam. It's not a scam. It's a way for you to actually take back ownership of your shit.
Yeah. And in a way that other people can't control. Yeah. Other people can't control.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, back to the album.
No, I love it, but it's related. I mean, it's related to the album because it is the story about like somebody in that tech space, somebody in that tech space moving back to, maybe more what they were intended to do, which is to be, to be an artist, even if it meant, sacrificing all relationships and losing people.
One more thing before we jump into that.
Yeah.
It's the way to tell people to kind of scam the system is whenever you get these AIs and stuff and they give you the initial pitch of, this is going to be $30. Go ahead and put your email in. And so they know who you are, and then never actually pay for it. Just kind of let it go off to the side. They'll send you a 70% off code the next day. So scam the system. If they want to get you, get them back.
Figure out their algorithm and use it to beat them.
Absolutely.
Get on the horn. We know how to bring them down.
Yeah. And that's why I'm also not saying the name of that app too, because fuck those guys.
Yeah.
They owe me $40.
Yeah. The dark side of tech is you're making rich people richer. And, but, at the very core of what I do and going back to the album is like, I'm a user experience designer. I'm supposed to like design a user experience in an app that just helps somebody solve a problem. And it comes from a good space, but the way that tech is that it's not, tech is the problem now. and it is a place that you go rather than a tool that you use to solve a problem. So being at odds with that, and then,
But it's just that, is it because that's the way we're using it? Because I feel like a lot of people do use these things to try to solve a problem, but it's kind of like the thing with the TikToks and the Instagram where it's like 30-second reels.
Yeah.
The neuroscience behind that is disgusting.
yeah, I know. And that kind of thing, where you're not able to control like the business rules of like the editing and stuff like that. And there's some darker neuroscience stuff, like app stuff that I've like, conversations get had during the software design process always about stuff like that. And but the tech industry needs good people to advocate, humanist principles, I think, in design. But the thing that bothers me about Instagram and all that stuff is that they're making it harder to use. They know what you want to do when you're on there, right? But they're making it harder to do the things that you're trying to do on purpose.
You're talking about as a creative?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like it's really hard to upload stuff. It's like here's the most insane example is just copying and pasting, your own comments after you've posted them. And you post something, you're like, oh, well, now I have to cross post it to TikTok. And it doesn't even let you copy and paste it. Like, oh man, I have to retype all that or whatever.
But there's an app for that.
There is.
Yeah. And you have to pay for that every
Actually,
month.
hot tip. If you're ever in that situation where you're like, I can't copy and paste text on Instagram, take a screenshot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can drag text over it in photos and then copy it off the clipboard that way.
Oh, that is true. I forgot about that.
It recognizes the text now.
Yeah, that's dope.
The more you know, star flies over my head right now.
I mean, yeah, there's all kinds of little tips out there that people just don't know. Like even using Canva, man. Canva has some dope uses for it. Like if you're making a poster with ChatGPT, I mean, ChatGPT now does text really good, but before it wouldn't do text, you could actually take the poster that it designs and then go into Canva and tell it to remove the text.
Yeah.
And it would remove the text only. And then you could go in and it would autofill back in. And you could go in there and put your own text on there.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, just little tips and tricks like that will help people navigate this new technology.
Well, I created a separate Instagram account for after my album called The Rectangle Man, where I'm just going to put helpful tips and tricks about tech.
It's awesome, dude. Yeah. I think more people should do that because there's a lot of people out there that they're just not tech savvy. So, I mean, people like us need to be, giving the tips out.
I swear we can move off of tech, but I think about that too in my parents and about how the UI, there's a certain level of with the boomers becoming older that there's a certain amount of geriatric care associated with the way that you design apps now for old people now.
What do you mean?
They're gonna have to change the UI and the user experience as people get a huge amount of user base becomes older. It's here's an example. Facebook has higher contrast and higher text, larger text than Instagram because more ages 65 up use it. So how will these apps change over time?
Interesting. I bet they'll change with the person's age, right? Because they know how old you are.
Yep.
So maybe as you age, the app will change with you.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, it makes sense. It would be an organic experience like that.
Yeah, and then things. Yeah, I guess that is kind of what they're going for with the algorithm.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the album. So you were saying it's a very emotional thing for you, and you were talking about doing the shadow work. Can you explain a little bit about that?
So, you ever seen Bo Burnham Inside?
I haven't, no.
Okay. Well, it was, it was around the dark times, the COVID times. And, I told you I moved here move here, fell in love and that started to kind of, fall apart and hit a rock bottom right around after COVID, but had begun, a writing journey and a journey of, what am I doing what am I doing in my life that is not serving me? What things do I need to remove? And why do my relationships all suck? You know,
I have that same exact experience with relationships. So.
Right. And it, you know, because when you turn the point, when you're alone or when you're with people or you could point your finger at people. But when you're single and you're single for a while and you begin kind of a devoted work to like, you know, maybe working on yourself, and exploring why, you know, if you have darkness, where that's originating from, I think is one.
And how does one do that?
Well, for me, I studied a lot of, so I had to stop drinking for a while.
Right.
Because,
that's a coping mechanism, right?
Well, it's a skill set. I didn't learn how to socialize without booze. I never learned how to do that. I started drinking when I was 16 years old at field parties. Like I didn't know how to present in the world or be confident without booze, and had never learned how to do that. And like, that's, you know, stopping that is part of my, you know, journey of being able to get up on this stage every Thursday, you know, sober and play. It's not something I was able to do. And so I wanted to get to there, and I wanted to keep playing music, but I was in a really bad spot, physically, and drinking a lot. And like, I remember very distinctly recording myself playing guitar as if it were going to be something that I release. And I just, it's what it was is a song that I'd written for my nephew. He's one of the things I did and have been doing is every year for his birthday, I wrote him a birthday song.
That's awesome.
And release it on Spotify.
Yeah.
And so slowly have been aging them up as he gets older and older to make them, you know, 5 is like, let's go to the zoo. And then like, so I did that for many years. And, around COVID, during my dark times, I go in to write the song that is his 9th birthday song. And like, when you write a song, or when I write a song, one of the things that I do is, especially in that instance where I'm writing it for a child, is like to get in that empathy space, get in the headset or in the mind of what would a 9-year-old like, or what are they going through, or however. But, so suffice to say, I had difficulty, and I had difficulty identifying with that 9-year-old version of myself. And there was a lot of emotions that came up in that process of writing the song and recording it. You can hear it in the record. It's actually, you can hear someone who is struggling.
Right.
And because it's like, I couldn't even barely make it through the song. But that's when I realized like I had work to do in, you know, that had nothing to do with relationships.
But was that a year that something transformational happened in your life at 9?
Yes, actually.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, there was a suicide in my family.
Okay.
Actually. But that kind of connection is like, you know, you can feel it, and it can be like, oh, however, but like, I realized it's like I kind of disidentified with a part of myself when I was that age. And so what I did was, you ever seen those legacy boxes where you get all that stuff all the old VHSs like digitized and stuff? Like,
no. I don't know anything really, dude.
So, you know, old home movies, like they're all on like Hi8 and digital.
Okay.
Like, but we don't really have access to any of that anymore, because it's like, this has become our capture device, and loading it to Instagram and the cloud has been, but like, I lived in the 80s at one point, you know, and all that digital stuff, like from those, you know, the digital camcorder stuff, and like my dad filming home movies, like none of that stuff exists in the cloud. You have to get it digitized, and it's degrading very quickly. And if you don't have it digitized, like stuff,
when the quality of it's horrible too, right?
Right.
It's like 480p or something.
Right. And so I did a rescue effort for, you know, the other half of my life, because Instagram, all this stuff like Facebook, it's like, it's constantly, you know, showing you like a year ago, maybe 10 years ago, but it can't go anywhere. The time machine can't go to anywhere preceding like 2005, because that's when people started uploading their pictures.
Yeah.
And so I don't get looks back into when I was 9 very often. You know, I have a picture of myself to look at or anything like that. So what I wanted to do is get all that, you know, that childhood, A, preserve it, and B, kind of, you know, look at my parents and you know, see things and images that I hadn't seen in a really long time, so I could identify with, you know, where I was at currently and everything like that. And
So you went back and watched these old movies, and that's kind of how you discovered what was the issues.
yeah, I kind of re-traumatized myself just a wee bit. It was it kind of difficult to do alone, and I don't really recommend doing it.
I mean, I think that's the way you have to do it.
Yeah.
Like for me, I did it with mushrooms.
Did you?
Yeah, I didn't go back and do the digitized version, but whenever I took the mushrooms and I sat in a dark room.
You did the journey back. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
exactly.
I sat in a dark room and I kind of went inside of myself and I found what the deep rooted issues were, and that allowed me to move forward.
That's it. I did that in my own artist's way, and I filmed myself doing it on my iPhone. So I have like, you know, this is all be album tease stuff. It's like, even when I'm like, you know, really kind of emotionally unhinged, it's like I still captured those moments because I used my iPhone as like, and me recording it and talking to it as kind of, you know, as, you know, a letter to my future self when I'm being like, I know I'm going to make it through this.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually had several people on that have done stuff like that.
Really?
There's one guy who went to Afghanistan or Iraq. He was somewhere in the military.
Uh-huh.
And when he came back, they started putting him on all these like medications.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I listened to some of this.
Yeah, he had like a cocktail of medications that he was on. And they just kept dosing him, and he just started spiraling down this fucking hole, man. Like they weren't actually like helping him do anything.
Yeah.
And so he started filming himself. Like one day he just checked himself into a hotel and just like filmed himself going down this fucking rabbit hole of a spiral. And now he's got all this footage and he made a documentary out of it. And yeah, he's showing that the negative sides of what happens whenever you go to these places that deal with war and shit.
Yes.
And like, we all know that it's a negative thing, yet somehow it still happens.
Right. It's scary. And it's like getting that, you know, I struggle with how much of that to expose them. I'll probably expose a lot of that to people of like those moments with me, but it's like, I feel like it's just so tremendously helpful for people to show yourself struggling sometimes, because it makes people feel like they're not alone.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all going through it, man. And I think, you know, you were talking about in your relationship, whenever you were pointing the finger.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of people that never go through that single phase.
Right.
And never deal with their own issues. They bounce from relationship to relationship to relationship.
Right.
And they're always pointing the finger at someone else rather than actually looking inside of themselves.
Yes.
And it's so crazy too, because whenever you actually get to a point where you're like, okay, I've dealt with my shit. Because I had an experience where I got with a girl, we were together for 2 years, and then we broke up, and you were both pointing the finger at each other. You know, we were breaking up. And then after I went through my mushroom phase and dealt with my own shit, we got back together, and I was like, okay, maybe it was me.
Yeah.
And then we got back together, and like I was like completely cool about everything, but I could look at her and go, you haven't done anything.
Right.
Like there's been no work here. So I'm going to walk away from this because it's not good for me.
But that decision probably was like, I bet you were not like very emotionally. It's like, cool, this person doesn't serve me with where they're at right now. It's time to say goodbye.
Yeah. Cause I mean, once you figured it out, man, it's like, what am I doing here?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's interesting. It is the, you know, it's always and my album charts this journey that we're talking about. Is like that decision to kind of be alone and that decision to say goodbye and be like, there is parts, but there are parts of our journey that we must complete alone.
Absolutely. That's
In
why
fact,
I think everyone
yeah.
should take that single face.
Yes.
Yeah. What interests me about your story is the fact of what your dad does for a living.
And that's the funniest thing of all.
Yeah. So can you?
He's a very prominent psychiatrist
Mhm.
and has been for a long, long time, as long as I can remember, beepers being a thing. Do you remember beepers?
I do remember.
Yeah. He had a beeper
Yeah.
and it went off during the night. And, it's funny. I joke about it. And my teachers growing up thought like it was the funniest thing that my dad was a psychiatrist. And
Why did
like,
your teachers think that was funny?
I don't, it's just,
I mean, did that aid your journey or did it affect your journey?
so it's like I would bring, okay. It's like I would bring pens to school as one does, but mine would say Zoloft on them because of drug reps. And like, you'd see the teacher out of the corner of her eye being like, why does that kid have a Zoloft pen? Like, it's like, I'm on Zoloft. Like, what the hell? And it's like, but yeah, that kind of thing. But listening, watching psychiatry evolve over the years has been interesting.
Has it evolved? It kind of seems the same as it always has.
Well,
Took a lot of psychology classes in college.
yeah, we don't,
They were
we,
still teaching about Freud and
we don't ice pick lobotomy people anymore.
well, yeah, we understand that the brain is a thing you don't really fuck with.
Yeah.
But we're still dosing people with chemicals, which is kind of the same thing as an ice pick lobotomy.
It is. And one of the things I think is interesting is that there is, it's all very playful as demonstrated through the hilarious So Many Ways to Do Drugs song that my dad thinks is funny, which is also about the medicalization of society a wee bit. Because the thing about the psych drugs that have always confused me is like a lot of the sentences about when people like explain, well, how does it work? We'll start with, well, we don't really know exactly how it works on the brain, but it does. And so it's like, which is such a weird concept to me because it's like, that's the, you go to medical school for that. And like, you think it'd be like demonstrable, but like, I get, I grew up with the science of it and it's a totally legitimate, much needed science. I just think that there are other answers that we might reach for sometimes too, that aren't, talking about the subscription tech model, as we were talking about earlier, about like getting your credit card on file. Like it's like all of these drugs are designed to be taken forever.
Yeah. They're not designed to actually cure you. They're designed to keep making someone rich.
Of all of my experience with, growing up and everything with psychiatry, there's the goal in mind never really seems to be to take people off of the medicine that keeps. My dad is a fantastic psychiatrist and very, very good and trustworthy. And he supports everything.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with your dad. This has to do with the industry that surrounds your dad.
But it's funny because it does, there are elements of my album thematically that it is, I would be doing a bad job if I wasn't representing the frustration that I have with like the authority in place.
Yeah, the medical system.
Right.
So I had an ex who was a PA and physician assistant, for those who don't know. And she basically told me one day, and this changed my whole perception of the medical industry. She said, it's called medical practice for a reason.
So, yeah.
Because they're all fucking practicing. They don't actually know how the immune system works.
Yeah.
They don't know how the drugs that put you to sleep whenever they're doing surgery works. They don't know any of this shit.
Yeah.
They're just like, well, we can do it and it works. So let's fucking dose them. And even the people with like psychological disorders, like you said, they're not really treating the problem. They're just kind of putting a patch over it. Where if you actually if you take natural medicines like mushrooms, like ibogaine, which is a new medication they're coming out with, it's curing everything.
I've heard of this.
But if you take these natural substances, they'll actually help you.
I mean, I just started taking, I swear, I just started taking vitamins every day and I started to feel better mentally. You could like, and it's just vitamins that you buy from the store for $6.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it is rooted in digestive issues.
Yeah. And like, you know, your brain can't convert dopamine without this, you know, critical magnesium or you know, whatever. Your brain needs food to do its thing too. But yeah, so I kind of did like a total reset as far as all that stuff went during all this time too. So it's like I went totally naked brain for a while,
which is also good for you.
Well, it's like it resets. It's like lets all the players get back in place in your brain. You like reset.
Yeah, the neurotransmitters.
Yeah, frisky as they are.
Yeah, I now use medications for purposes.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to sit down and edit, I'll use the Adderall.
Yeah.
If I'm day to day and want to be in a better mood, I'll do my little micro dose of mushrooms.
Yeah.
And go to the fucking gym.
That sounds really fun. And that sounds fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the micro dose, you don't even really feel it. It's just kind of like in your system. So you like have a little pep.
Yep.
But like, and maybe once or twice a year, I'll do a heavier dose just to kind of like reset. Because I think that's like a reset too, the heavier dose of mushrooms. And I meditate like fucking crazy.
Do you?
I love meditation.
I do.
Dude.
I do too.
It's so great.
The first time I ever did mushrooms, the first time I did mushrooms was the first time, and it was we had gotten a balcony on Frenchman Street during Crew de Ville. And it's like, let me take mushrooms for the first time.
So he did them wrong, is what he's saying.
Exact. And then, right as it started to turn, they invited a bunch of people over that were our friends, and I was like, oh no. And it was really bad. But yeah, the alternative, however you do it, you know, the look inward in to yourself, you know, whether it be through meditation or music or mushrooms, but that circle back that we're talking about, the you know, the after you kind of run a few cycles and you kind of keep getting beat up the same way, and you're like, what is the deal? Is like that's the journey that I want, you know, that I think the album represents me completing because I designed it that way. That's how I wanted it to, you know, that's like, I'm doing my work this way, and it's going to work because I say it's going to work. And you're giving it, but by doing that, it's like, you're making it work.
Well, that's a very interesting point too. Cause I mean, I'm sure your dad knows who Robert Sapolsky is. Do you know who Robert Sapolsky is? Yeah. You know, he says that, there is no free will. That from the moment you come out of the womb, that there are external pressures that are making you go certain ways. Yes. But I don't think until you actually realize that, that's whenever you finally take control and you start navigating those external pressures. Right. So I think there are a lot of people in this world today that are literally just going the way the environment makes them go, rather than actually taking control of their life. Yep. And going in a way. And I feel like you have like taken control of your life now, and you're like moving in a direction, and that's where kind of this album is, right? It
100%. But not in a way that it has been in the past. Like, and to circle back with my nephew, it's like, you know, I stopped writing songs for him when I hit that thing, and, you know, he's getting older too. And I think part of it for me too is actually we're doing background vocals right now and kind of doing sweetening stuff, and like I'm figuring out who I want to be in my band when we play it live, and I'm like adding parts that are all meaningful because of this journey that we're talking about. So I actually got a chance for my sister, who sings, to come do background vocals on one of the tracks, which was really, really good. And then also my nephew that I spoke of.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sings a little bit at the end number.
So how old is he now?
He is 12.
Okay,
or about
cool.
to be 12. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And so it completes that, it kind of completes that loop journey.
Well, that's awesome
to
too,
me
man.
that I'm talking about.
Because that gives him,
Right.
yeah, it's so cool to like have them be a part of something. Like I've had my niece and my nephew on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I gotta
and-
watch that episode.
Oh, they're horrible episodes. I love you guys.
yeah.
But they just like, we talk about Pokemon cards and stuff like that.
Really?
But I mean, it's something that's fun for them to see one day when they get older.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of it, you know, there's a lot of, to circle back on the album, like the only thing that I have, you know, I want to achieve through this is like opening my music up and myself up to people, like, and to collaborating and to telling my story, and to not be like embarrassed of the heavier feelings that I have had. But my main goal is that I just want, Simon, my nephew, to think that I'm cool. I mean, that really is all it is.
Isn't that what it's all about?
Well,
man?
there's a bunch of the people on the internet now. They look up to some of these people, and those are not good people.
Oh, dude.
On the YouTube sometimes.
Man, people on the internet suck.
Yeah.
They suck so bad. Like if you look at the comments that people put under our videos, even this one too, we'll have some comments on here that people are just flaming both of us.
Yeah.
They just suck, man. But it's the anonymity. And if you look back at the profiles where people are commenting,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time they're profiles that have 0 pictures posted
Yeah.
and they have nothing in there. So it's just like bots.
Uh-huh.
But it just sucks. Like if you let it get in your head, don't let it get in your head.
Oh, I
never look at the comments anymore. It's like, it's my rule. One day I let one of them get in my head. And then I was like, never again.
You're reminding me, I need to do a big YouTube upload thing. I do not have a prevalent YouTube channel, and to open it up, I think it is all that stuff really is scary, like putting yourself out there and everything. But again, nothing can destroy me now. I think it's kind of getting to that point where it's just like, I've been up to the very edge of like, total self-annihilation, and like a YouTube comment is not going to bother me. Like,
Yeah. That's the correct attitude to have. Right there, man.
Like there's just, God.
Yeah. I think
We've lived through hurricanes.
one of the most powerful moments that I had whenever I was meditating and like on this, because I went down this dark rabbit hole of meditation and fasting and sleep depriving myself.
Did you? You went like ascetic style.
Yeah, 100%. And I still live that way. If you walk into my apartment, all there is a desk and a bed.
Okay, cool. I did something where it's just like all you drink was tap water for a few days.
So I fast. Occasionally I do a 3-day fast now, just to heal my body. But at that point in time, my whole diet changed. I was reading this book. It was called The Science of Yoga.
Uh-huh.
And something in that book and the meditations that I was doing, like I was just going really deep, and I started pushing the boundaries of like how deep I could go in these meditations. And I found that through fasting and through sleep depriving myself, I could go really, really far. And then one day I had this experience where I thought I was dying.
Okay.
And then I laid down on my bed and I was like, if I'm dying, should I text someone and tell them? And I was like, no, if this is death, I accept it.
Yeah.
And when I accepted death, it was in my entire life changed.
That's it. It's like the ego death. It's like it doesn't, if it is, it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to happen.
Yep.
I think a lot of people fear it so much that it shapes their life.
Yeah. It's funny. I have intrusive thoughts sometimes. And like one of the ones is that, that I have a brain tumor, and like, which is like, I know it's just that fear of, oh my gosh, I'm dying. But the thing that I've done to snap myself out of it is just to say, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You are. Yeah.
Just slowly.
Yeah. But you are. Yeah. It's just all it is just a factor of, slope. Yeah. So that's the other thing too, is like pre journey, artist journey, as it were. Like I used to drink to literally kill myself each time.
Mm-hmm.
It would be the secret goal. I didn't really realize that until I
drink
stopped.
to get drunk, right?
But it was
to
different.
obliterate yourself.
Annihilate.
Oh wow.
Well, it's like the idea that like I can't. the person that I am that's not that I hate
Mm.
that's a difficult switch to unflip, and was for me. So, but yeah, now it's like, seeing that and being like, yeah, I was just drinking so I could just, if I got in an accident or something, it would be like, you know, an accident.
That's the excuse.
Yeah.
The drinking was the excuse.
Right. Or just being like, well, anyway, all those dark stuff. Sorry to go dark, but we're going light and dark.
Dude, I
tonight,
love
man.
going dark, bro. Like,
Yeah.
the darkness is where the truth lies.
It is. And I think you and what was your friend's name? The veteran?
Chris? Yeah, I think it's Chris. I'm
I think-
horrible with names. Sorry, Chris, if that's not you.
There's something and there's a tremendous amount of value, I think, with what he did and with what I did, and which I think you have done, I'm sure, because you're a video editor and you do like review of yourself, but being able to like watch playback of yourself and hear things that are not that you did and not cringe is like, that's tough. That's a tough, like, I film myself every night, I'll film myself good show, bad show here and watch it, even if I know it's just like, because there's always opportunities. If you can get past that cringe, there's just like always opportunities to get better.
Well, what the breakthrough for me is I'm an actor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I've done films where I cried on camera. That was a breakthrough moment for me, crying in front of a room full of people with cameras on you and with lights shining down on you.
Really?
Yeah. Like, that was like, because, as guys, we're taught to be, men. But then whenever you're like deep in that character, and I was playing an alcoholic that abused my wife, and then I just went deep into this moment, man. Everyone in the room was...
It was like electricity.
Dude, everyone in the room was like...
Yeah. So similarly, I approached the vocal takes to this because it's the way that it's structured. The album, the way that it's structured, it's structured like a play, like a musical. But I approached it with that actor's mentality of like, I talk about getting personal in the studio. Like, there are songs that I had never even sung before, but we did in the first take. You hear me crying. I wanted that moment in there, but it's not like placed up front or up at the top or anything. But like at that moment, like I was the lyric I was singing, if that makes any sense.
No, people notice that.
The people, it's very interesting because to me, it's like, I didn't think anybody would notice it. I don't think people can tell that I choke up, but they're like, that is the best thing. And I'm like, and so there's a lot of like, it's structured like, a journey or a tale, and it has these very big moments. But the thing that I love about it and listening to the album in sequence is that it has those quiet, really, really real moments that I think people are just so desperate to see now, especially with like a lot of fakeness out there.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell whenever a singer or a performer is performing with real emotion, with raw emotion. Like there's a band in town, Dana Ives. You heard Dana Ives band? Yeah, the Dana Ives band. They're two of my homies. They're great. But every time they go on stage, the amount of energy and emotion they bring to it, it's exhausting. Like, it's exhausting for me to be there watching them.
Really?
I can only imagine if it's being them. And I've had them on the podcast before and they've talked about it. And they're just like, yeah, dude, whenever we get off stage, we're drained.
It's like an athlete. It really is like something very, very intense for a short period of time, and then structuring your world around being able to support that moment. And like that's the other thing too, is like, I come at it from that perspective too. Like, I was never going to release an album, and this is still true, that I couldn't stand here with this Martin backpacker and play you all the way through and give it the emotion that it needed.
Yeah.
Because you're writing a play for yourself. And like, so that's the other thing too. It's the performer or the writer element of it, being able to embrace all of those different roles. I think that's why it's taken me so long to finish it.
Well, and
But
that's okay too. Like if it's something that it takes you 10 years to do, as long as you're comfortable with it, you're okay with it at the end and it's raw emotion. Take as long as it want to.
yeah, it's funny that you say that because we were at this studio yesterday, me and Chris, and there's the original. I talked about like the relationship loss that the album alludes to, and there's this song that touches on that is called After All, and it's kind of a letter to her a little bit. And the first time I did it was like the first time I went in with Chris, and it was right around the holidays, and like I was just, it was like, when you're getting over somebody, it's like it's like a wave, or it's like a circle. It circles back on itself and it gets a little less. But anyway, I was basically really in those feelings around the holidays at the time. And I did like this vocal take of it that you could just tell that I meant it in that moment. And it was the scratch recording. And I did it. I re-recorded the vocals to that. That was 6 months ago. I re-recorded the vocals of that to do, vocal overlays. And I'm like, nah, which I don't believe this person.
Yeah. The first take was better.
Yeah.
Cause you're in the feelings,
But which is great but hey, that's great for me as a person. That means it's like I'm getting over it. And
Right.
like, but then it's like, it's that line of like, okay, is a performer like an actor where it's like, it's their job to replicate that emotion
That's where
over
it
and
gets
over
tough,
again. Right. And so, but every once in a while with a recording, and I think, thanks to Chris and like the way that he kind of let me record it, which is really unconventional, like a confessional. Like I think those moments that were absolutely crucial to the journey, we have and we kept as the emotional touch points of the album, and you will know them.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty obvious because it's like.
So you're going to give us a couple of songs so we can like put it at the end of the podcast so people can kind of hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. We'll do that at the end of the podcast. We'll have a couple of snippets of the song so we can play so you guys can kind of get an idea of where he's coming from with this.
So many ways to do drugs these days.
What's that?
So many ways to do drugs these days.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. That's going to be at the beginning. Yeah. So is there anything else you want to touch on today, Fox?
No, I mean, I want to talk about you a little. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just live life, man.
Talk about maybe talk about the mic for a bit.
The open mic?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about that?
Well, it's going great.
Yeah. I mean, you had big shoes to fill and you guys have come in and you've done a great job. Payson, rest in peace.
Yes.
The guy did an amazing job whenever he was running the mic. And then after he passed away, I reached out to Fox and he and Cole came in and they've been doing a great job with it.
Yeah. And it's coming up on a year-ish that he passed.
Yep.
Yeah. And I kind of want to do something, maybe some kind of circle back on that because we have kept it going. And one thing I want to say about that is that, and just the New Orleans music community, which I've only been, I've been drumming for a while, I've been in bands for a while, but I've only been doing this front person singing my feelings on the stage, like really being the deliverer of the message, not for that long, and certainly not in this kind of raw and real way that I'm doing it. And it's really nerve-wracking. This is really big music town.
Mm-hmm.
And like to break in to it and to like be on stage and playing in New Orleans, like even if it's like a little open mic, it's a tremendous deal to people when they do it. And some people are doing it for the first time. And like Payson, I remember it was the first time I had played out. After all, I had gone through all this. I was just being like, I'm going to start playing these feelings in front of people. And he was the nicest guy that just embraced me and was so encouraging. And that was like the mentor that I needed at that moment. And like, so that's, I try to do a little bit of that for people and to pay that forward, because everybody at the open mics, like mixtape BJs, this one, like all of them, it's just a bunch of people like in our community just like telling their beautiful little stories. And like we should always facilitate that, as opposed to, you know, the way that everybody else is trying to feed us theirs, like with, you know, all the different ways that we experience
And
that.
record your music.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the things that Payson didn't do, and we lost a lot of magic. Like the man sang some very powerful songs, and the only one that had them recorded, I think, was me.
Really?
And they're like shitty recordings.
Really?
Yeah, but we're gonna try to do something with them one day.
Oh, I could, if his Instagram is still up, I can go and like transpose them, and we could do a tribute. one day.
Dude, yeah, I have a bunch of recordings on hard drives. So I mean, I can give you those, and if you want to do something for the year mark,
Really?
yeah,
That would be so amazing.
yeah.
Wait, and release some of. Oh wait.
I mean, his family could.
that would be. Do we talk to his family?
we know his family. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, we stay in contact with them. So yeah, they would love that.
That makes me want to cry on a podcast.
Yeah, no, I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up with the files that I have.
Yeah, you just like a few in memoriam. That would be. Yeah, that would be so cool.
Now his songs were amazing, man.
Yeah.
But you know, he's a prime example of what the music industry is missing today. You know, everyone wants that commercial success, but there are people that are writing original songs that are fucking amazing. And they're kind of getting like just swept under the rug.
Yeah. And it is increasingly difficult, I think, on the internet for musicians to break through the noise with their messages. And
When it's going to get even worse with all the AI apps that they're making. If I can turn my voice into a cover song.
well, so this is why I documented my process so much of me going insane with that whiteboard. Is like, you can definitely tell that that I wrote this because I went a little crazy writing it. But but that's actually a really interesting point. Is like the meta narrative behind the work is really important these days. To be able to
The story.
yeah, the story behind the story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's what people resonate with. They don't resonate with an AI made this. An AI made 20 songs in 5 minutes. No,
Right.
They resonate with, you know, my name is Fox. It took me 10 years to make this album.
Yeah,
I poured 10 years of my life into
I
this.
almost went crazy, and this is my dad's a psychiatrist. There's a song called The Rectangle Man.
Mm-hmm.
That no, I just, yeah, I have loved keeping the mic going. And again, at the very spirit, even when there's, you know, if there's off nights, which there rarely are, it's picking up. And like, is that, you know, it's not about me. It's about facilitating people being able to tell their story.
Yeah, no, I'm thankful that we have guys like you helping out with this space. It really means a lot to me, and it means a lot to everyone who, you know, functions around here. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate what you and Cole do. I really appreciate what all the bartenders do. The comedians that run the open mics, I appreciate them.
Gotta hit that open mic.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we have such an awesome community of people. That's the only way this place functions.
Right.
Like if it was solely on my shoulders, it wouldn't function.
Yeah.
But the fact that we have a nice community of people that help me do things around here, that's why this place is what it is.
Yeah. And it's all different stuff too.
It is.
Yep.
Well, Fox, I really appreciate you coming in today. I hope you all the success on your album, and we'll have a couple of songs after this so people can kind of check out where you're at.
Cool.
And do you have any place you want the people to find you at?
You got to check out my zany Instagram at Fox Robinson Music, where I'm in a constant struggle not to murder my cat.
And can they find you on Spotify and stuff too?
Not yet, but soon.
Okay.
Maybe like next week. It'll be singles week. It'll be singles week.
It'll be under the name Fox Robinson.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, brother.
Yes. Thank you.
5, 6, 7, 8. The match is fixed, the piece is worn. Look in mirror here to see there's nowhere to run. I will write another melody to carry to the devil tonight. Whoa, lock and key, you hold my tongue. Look in mirror here to see there's nowhere to run. Let's have another drink and soften up the look in your eyes. Whoa. There are so many ways to do drugs these days. So many ways to do drugs. Hello doctor, how are you? I am having trouble sitting still in my computer for at least 8 hours. Well, you know I'm just a thing, a legal form of cheap cocaine, and everyone I've talked to says it gives them powers. What?